defects. One of them is that false memory. And this is apparently is it. This is how come she was able to pass this lie detector, this polygraph exam. This is my opinion of the situation here. I seem to believe Kavanaugh, but also because we so much want to believe that something didn't happen, we can lie to ourselves, rationalize it, and pray about it, and just get psyched out to deny it emphatically the way he did too. So maybe he thinks it was another girl, and so he can just say, well, it certainly wasn't her, maybe she is exaggerating some of this stuff. I mean, she says that, I started screaming, and then she says, when I started to scream, and he covered my mouth, and, the whole thing kind of smells. I mean, ladies, listen. If some guy is going to start covering your mouth, okay, and, that is the time to start biting, okay? That is the time to really get crazy. You make sure that the man you're with, okay, or that is attacking you, okay, that he knows no means no, okay, under no uncertain terms. That's it, okay, but don't say no in a seductive manner, because that used to be kind of a thing. Remember, we found out there was all this date rape was being reported and all that. Well, look, just about every guy on earth that was ever sexually active and is heterosexual, okay, could probably have some woman, some scorned woman from his past that's pissed off about something or just wants her 15 minutes of fame. I mean, if you're going to enter a position like Supreme Court, I mean, hey, Supreme Court Justice, I mean, this might be the motivation she needs to give her the attention that she's been craving, the worldwide attention and, her place in history or his place. But you notice how it's very lopsided, because I'll tell you this much, growing up as a teenager, believe me, I can remember when I was 18, maybe I was 17. But there was a woman living in my house. I was kind of the leaseholder, but she was renting. Rent was like $100 a month for a duplex. I mean, it was just unbelievably cheap rent. And I happened to live in the garage, which I really liked. But she was coming through. That's where you went in and out to dump the garbage. And she, she came on to me, a 28-year-old woman, and and she, talked dirty to me. And I mean, it was very seductive, and being just a single teenage boy, guy, man, whatever you want to call me at that age, hey, you know what? I mean, dude, guys they're down. I mean, it's always lopsided. It's like nature made it lopsided. We all know that. It's like blood to a shark. Okay, when a man thinks, that she wants him, let's just put it that way. Okay, he gets a little psycho. I mean, that's it. That instinct takes over. And people, and guys, their restraints are gone, and they just, they want her, and it's very powerful drive. So if a woman is serious about getting a guy off of her, get your hand off me. I mean, you've got to say it in a way that he doesn't mistake it for seduction. Okay. Oh, stop. I mean, it can't be that. All right. Because that's just going to make it worse. Believe me. That's the way, if you look into it psychologically speaking, that's what happens. It has to do with this taboo psychosis that we all have to some degree, where if something's taboo, it makes it very intriguing and interesting to us. So, I didn't want to spend all day, but I do have some notes on this, and I want to get into them. But you know what? This business there used to be what's called a statute of limitations, right? That if you didn't bring a claim against somebody for a certain crime, I mean, it's different crimes, like murder did have a statute of limitations. But there's a rhyme and a reason why we put statute of limitations on other crimes, so that this couldn't happen. And how do these people that come out, oh, we understand, and everything, we understand why you didn't come out for decades about this thing. And hey, wait a minute. Okay, listen, I'm no lawyer. I've never been to law school, but I know this much. I know that harboring a criminal, not reporting certain crimes is against the law. When we're talking about violent sexual predators, because that's what you're calling Kavanaugh, okay, Ms. Ford, is a violent sexual predator. When he put his hand over your mouth to keep you from screaming, when he started groping you in an untoward, in an uninvited manner, and started taking your clothes off, okay, that is a sexual violent predator. Do you understand? That's what you're calling him, and saying you're 100% sure there's no possibility, but you don't even remember how you got home. I mean, that you were so traumatized, this would stick in your mind. I mean, of all the things you would remember about this, you remember that completely, absolutely. To Dianne Feinstein, you say, just like I'm talking to you, that's how I know. Okay, but you don't remember how in the heck you got home from the party. You were that inebriated. You admit that you were drinking, right? I mean, and it's like, but you remember one detail completely. And then they say there's no what a possible ulterior motive could she have? Well, from what I understand, okay, from what I have heard, she got rid of all her social media because she is very much an activist on the left side, not the liberal side, because I don't consider the leftists liberal. Okay, I don't consider socialism liberal. Okay, it has really pernicious bad effects on society. Look at every society that professes communism or socialism. They go down the tubes. So no, we don't want that. It's theft. It just creates animosity and loopholes for those that can afford to pay the bills. So no. So I'm no socialist. Let's make that very clear. Not in any form that we know. I am an egalitarian. I do believe in equality. I do believe in universal prosperity, not selective prosperity. So yes, I'm idealistic in that way, but I think it's very logical. I think it's very reasonable to have that state of affairs for all of us. But listen, if you don't report it, all those women's lives for decades, you put women's lives at risk because you knew there was a free violent sexual predator on the loose out there by not reporting this crime. Do you understand? So there should be a statute of limitations, and that's one very good reason why. Plus, how do you besmirch somebody's character? Don't we have a little thing called due process? You're innocent until proven guilty in a court of law in front of your peers. I mean, and that's a speedy trial and all that stuff. So I mean, this business of besmirching and speaking libelously and slanderously about people, it goes back thousands of years. It's not new. It's even in the Ten Commandments. It's against the Ten Commandments. You don't bear false witness against your neighbor, against anybody. Who's your neighbor on planet Earth? It's all of us. We're all neighbors. So, we need to be realistic when we talk about these things. Okay, we got to see the whole enchilada from everybody's point of view here. The men too. And men need to be men. But you know what? This is having a good effect. So you wonder, cui bono, who benefits from? All the attorneys benefit from removing the statute of limitations, right? Now all of a sudden I'm being sued. I mean, what do you need? You need an attorney. So they become more relevant. So who has an interest in get rid of this statute of limitations? All right, do you understand? And then you know what the effect is at the end of the day? We're going to have lower birth rates because they're going to stymie people getting involved. People are scared to death. Men are petrified of coming on to a woman. And, her just making something up if she gets pissy, if he decides to date another chick and she says, hey, this guy raped me all of a sudden. I mean, yeah, that's some pretty scary stuff when she was the one that seduced him in the first place. I mean, is that beyond the realm of possibility? So this whole idea that Ford couldn't have an ulterior motive, okay, that it wasn't political because she's a lefty and she wanted to really exercise her power as a woman and really show you who's running this world and say, hey, you know what? I don't want this guy on the Supreme Court because, I think that he is too conservative, too redneck, too right-wing, too Republican, and that he's going to threaten my right to choose to have an abortion. As far as I know, Ms. Ford has no children, so maybe she's had abortions and maybe it messed her up physically, so where she can't, I don't know. But she's my sister too. And I was disgusted listening to to the testimonials. It was just bizarre. I mean, she is seeing somebody that's, doesn't seem to be helping her. I guess she calls it a therapist, and